Hey, friends, welcome to the Come Like a Child podcast with your host, Ashley Minor. And you guys, it is officially launch week for Aisle 29, where Heaven Met My Hurry. And I am so excited. If you've been on this journey for the past couple weeks, you know that I have released a weekly episode reading from a chapter in my book leading up to my book launch. And you guys, we have arrived. If this is your first time listening to my podcast, by all means, go back, listen to the previous episodes. If you haven't pre-order the book. It releases this Friday, February 13th, and I am so excited. I cannot believe the week is here. Um, I It just feels so surreal. I know that there are like 124 copies out in the world right now because I purchased 100 copies from those who purchased for my book launch, and then I got 25 copies for the package that I bought. And I have just one copy, my copy. And so, although there are over 100 copies out in the world and several people have read my book, the launch day, it just, I don't know, it's a different feeling. It feels so surreal. I'm super excited. I'm super nervous, you guys. I don't know if you've ever released a book, but when you write something and release it to the world, it's out there. Some people may really like it, some people may not like it, and you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I know for a fact that this book will help you, guide you through your waiting, and it will teach you something about the Lord that you need to hear, that you need to know. So thank you for joining me on today's episode. You guys, I am going to read some of chapter 19. It's called Owls, Accents, and Grace. I think it's so fitting for me to read this chapter of my book, just because of what we're experiencing in the world. I love unity, you guys. Like, I love, and I know it is so heavy right now. I feel like it's so heavy in the country right now, and I just want to just pause here and say, man, like, Jesus is so loving. Like, Jesus created us and he is so loving. And I always want to point us back to him. Okay. And I know that we all fall short and I know that we make mistakes. And I know that there's grace, but I just want to say, let's all just pause right now. Just deep breath in, deep breath out. Like, let's just Selah. Okay. I think we're ready. Anyways, again, thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It wouldn't be a podcast without listeners. And so thank you so much for your feedback, text messages, for sharing the episodes. Today, before I dive into chapter 19, which is next to the last chapter of my book, I want to read what my forward writer, Carol Gillespie, wrote. And if you've listened to my podcast, you've heard me mention Carol's name several times. Carol is the woman, when I was walking through my season at Walmart, she said to me, Ashley, have you asked God, how does he want to partner with you in this season? And in my stubbornness and my pridefulness, I said, I don't want to partner with God here. I want to leave Walmart and partner with God elsewhere. Carol then went on to say, Ashley, there is gold mine at Walmart. You just have to find it. And it was through that question, have you asked God, how does he want to partner with you in this season, that led to me writing Aisle 29, Where Heaven Met My Hurry. And so, Carol Gillespie, if you are listening to this episode, I just want to say thank you for walking alongside of that Walmart season with me, but also asking me a very hard question during a challenging time in my life. And on that note, you guys, if you do not have a mentor, a godly Titus 2 woman or man in your life, I'm talking about someone who's older than you, someone who has lived in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, you need to find that person, because we are called to do life in community. And let me tell you, I could not have gone through that season of deep depression, anxiety, without Carol Gillespie. And of course, there were other people who walked alongside of me during that season, but I'm telling you, the power of community. Okay. So again, thank you, Carol Gillespie, all the way in California. And she is just Carol is just one of the most precious, wisest, one of the most humbling people I know. And so, Carol, thank you, thank you, thank you again. Okay, without further ado, I am going to read Carol's words. I'm going to open up my book. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you can actually tune in on Spotify and see the actual recording of the video. I have my book in front of me, and I am going to read what Carol Gillespie wrote. Forward by Carol Gillespie. Ashley Miner is my most delightfully unlikely friend. Living across the country from each other, we first met on Zoom, a providentially silver lining to a dark cloud of COVID. She comes from the South. I'm a West Coast girl. She grew up in the projects, shooting hoops as a kid. I grew up in suburbia, playing tennis at the club. She is a millennial. I'm a Gen Xer, barely. She's waiting for her man. I'm waiting for grandbabies. She hates ketchup, and, well, I think it's fine. Ashley is a gifted teacher, communicator, and discipler of people, but above all, she is a friend of Jesus. She has chosen to lean in spaces both difficult and seemingly mundane, to hear what her Savior is saying. These pages hold some of the riches he has imparted to her and the seasons and places she might rather have bypassed. Jesus, after all, is Emmanuel, God with us. His presence brings divine potential to turn every situation into fertile, holy ground, and every obscure place into a seed bed for transformation. In Aisle 29, Ashley encourages us to mind the goal wherever we find ourselves. Amidst a world that values the instantaneous, she invites us to slow down and wait upon the Lord, the one who does his most beautiful and intimate work in the secret places. Aw, you guys, Carol, she wrote that. And again, I could literally spend a whole episode talking about Carol Gillespie. I had the honors of meeting Carol through the woman who led me to the Lord, Bethany Pygott. Still to this day, we are a part of a virtual, I would call it like small group. And Carol is in California. She lives in California. There are women who live in Texas, and Bethany is in Mississippi. And I am the youngest in the group, and they have really just helped shape my life. And so through that group, I met Carol, and since 2020, she's poured into my life. She has a daughter around my age, and we can relate to a lot of things in life. And so she has been just like a mother figure for me, and I am so blessed by her words. She did say that I hate ketchup. If you know me, I absolutely hate ketchup. I don't like sitting next to people who eat ketchup. It stinks. I don't like condiments. So there's that. People are like, well, that's why you're so tiny because you don't eat condiments. I don't like condiments. If I get a burger, I am a meat and bread type girl. I know you're going to say, ew, that's so dry, but that's me. And I've always been that way. Side note story, this is so funny because a lot of people are like, what? I've only met one other person in the world who hates condiments just as much as I do. My friend Jerry, when I met her, I was like, oh my gosh. She also loves sports. And I was like, oh my gosh, you love sports. You love LeBron. You hate condiments. We're besties. And we just bond in that way. And so, yeah, I just hate ketchup. I remember my sister Rebecca, who also hates ketchup. I just come from a non-condiment family. Like we did not grow up eating it. And one day at school, somebody got ketchup on my sister's uniform, her white shirt, you guys. And she took that shirt off and said, I will get suspended. I will get written up before I wear this shirt all day long. And I was like, girl, I don't blame you. And that's just where we stand with ketchup. So if you heard me read what Carol wrote and she made that reference, there's that. There's a fact about me. I really don't like ketchup. So that's what Carol Gillespie wrote. Again, shout out to Carol for asking me the question. Have you asked God, how does he want to partner with you in this season? And before I move on to read what one of my best friends wrote about my book, I just want to throw that question at you. If you are in a season where you do not desire to be, have you asked God, how does he want to partner with you? And let me just give you some hope. I did not want to be at Walmart, but God birthed a book out of a place I didn't want to be. And so I highly encourage you to ask him that question. Okay, so, my dear friend Red, if you know me, you know Red. Red and I played college basketball together at Mississippi College, and we just became really close friends in college. This woman is so great. I mean, honestly, one of the best people I know. Red and I have known each other for over a decade, and she has been by my side through literally everything. We come from similar backgrounds, and we just understand each other at a deep, deep level. And Red has seen the journey. I'm talking about the behind the scenes, like every aspect of this waiting season, even before then. Like Red has seen it all. And Red, she read this book more than anybody. She was that person who said, Ashley, I don't understand this. You should write more. And I'm like, I don't want to write more. She's like, I'm telling you, like, this is good. You need to expand. And she was just that person. She was my first editor, just in every way. And so, Red, if you're listening to this episode, my friend, there are not enough words that I could write about you to say thank you. I don't have enough words right now to say thank you, but I hope that you know from the bottom of my heart how much you mean to me. And thank you, thank you, thank you for reading my book multiple times, for being my first editor, my encourager, and just such a strong wing woman in my life. I love you, my friend, so much. Okay, this is what Red said. This is one of the most powerful and heartfelt books I've ever read on the subject of waiting. Ashley holds nothing back, inviting readers into the depths of her personal journey with raw honesty and openness. Her transparency doesn't just tell a story, it stirs the soul, reminding us that waiting is never wasted. This is a book you'll want to pick up again and again. Khadijah Jones, higher education professional. I love you, friend. Thank you so much for that review. You guys, there are so many other reviews that are written that have been written about this book. And I just want to say, speaking of reviews, on Friday the 13th, which is this coming Friday, I want you to go to Amazon and write a review. When you get your book, if you've already gotten your book and you've read the book, I want you to leave a review. The reason why it helps Amazon keep books in stock, and this helps you get receive your book quicker. So if Amazon is noticing that there is no need for Owl 29, then they won't purchase books of the book. And then when somebody tries to buy the book, it'll take weeks for them to receive a copy. But if they see that there's a need for Owl 29, then they'll keep some in house and you'll be able to get your book in the next day if you have Prime, or the next couple of days if you don't. And so reviews are huge. If you have received a copy, if you have read my book, please go and leave a review on Amazon. If you haven't received your copy yet, read the book and then go leave a review. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So in this episode, I said I want to read a couple words from chapter 19 in my book. This chapter is called Owls, Accents, and Grace. And let me just give a background of this chapter. So when I was working at Walmart, I am in Texas. So I had coworkers who spoke Spanish, a lot of coworkers. And I had never worked with so many people whose primary language was Spanish. And there were people who would get so upset that we had Spanish speaking only staff. And I just was so mind blown by that. Like, I get it, it's a challenge. And yes, you're looking for something. And side note, I'm going to take up for my coworkers here. If you download the Walmart app, and yes, something may be off, but I have used this app time and time and time again. Honestly, when customers would ask me for assistance, I would 90% of the time open the app and tell them exactly where it is. You can download the Walmart app and you can search what you're looking for and find that item. Now, yes, I do understand that sometimes you want to know if there's some extra in top stock, or if something can be brought from the back and only we can look in the system at that. I do understand that. But oftentimes than not, I think we are just impatient. Like, I am not kidding. I think we are in such a hurry that we don't want to pause to look at the app that tells us which aisle the item is on and find it ourselves. It's just like, no, I just tell me where it is. And I get it. I say these words. I get it that sometimes we're in a rush, like, hey, can you help me? But people would get upset that we had Spanish speaking only workers and they couldn't necessarily help them. And what I found myself doing is downloading the translator app, because I soon quickly realized when I took the job at Walmart, there were people who only spoke Spanish. And so I said, okay, I want to be able to communicate with them. I can't learn Spanish in a day. Then I have to figure out a way that we can communicate so that we can work well together. And I would download a translation app, and that's how we communicated. Did it take a little longer to get to a place by doing that? Yes. Did it disrupt my day? No. And I just felt really saddened by some words that people would say around us having Spanish speaking workers. And I would process that with the Lord. It would literally just hurt my heart. I would process that with the Lord. And I kept thinking, man, I want to write about this. I want to write about this. And I think this is before I even thought about writing a book around my experience. And then when I knew that I would be writing a book, I knew I was going to write a chapter around the language barrier. And I almost titled this chapter Language Barrier, but it's titled Owls, Accents, and Grace. And so I went that route instead. But I want to read you. Actually, I'm going to read the entire chapter because it's short and I just feel like it is beautifully written. Of course, I wrote it, so I sound biased, but just listen to the words. I don't know where you stand on Spanish speaking workers in stores and places, but I hope that this episode can give you a soft spot like Grace, for people who are trying to maneuver in a foreign land. I write these words: owls, accents, and grace. Stillness quiets our own voice, but it also helps us hear others more clearly. After weeks of leaning into silence and solitude, I began noticing something I'd often overlook at Walmart: the quiet courage of those who spoke with an accent. Their words came slower, more carefully, and sometimes unsure. And yet, their presence spoke volumes. Language can be a barrier, but it can also be a bridge, and grace knows how to build it. I didn't expect Walmart to be a classroom, but God has a way of turning ordinary places into sacred ground. Working there, I met people from every background: single moms, retirees, teenagers, and immigrants trying to find their footing in a foreign land. Some of the most powerful moments weren't in corporate meetings or big career wins. They happened in broken English with hesitant smiles and in the kindness exchange in the simplest task. There were customers and coworkers who struggled to communicate clearly. Some spoke Spanish, others spoke Haitian, Creole, Vietnamese, or languages I couldn't even name. Many times I watched them be overlooked, brushed aside, or even laughed at because they couldn't keep up with the speed of American conversation. But I also saw some but I also saw something divine in their struggle. When God became flesh, he didn't speak with heavenly thunder. He spoke in human words. He stepped into our culture, learned our rhythms, and walked among us. He became a servant, not a show off. And when he spoke, people from every walk of life could understand him because love speaks louder than language. One of the most Christ like things we can do is slow down and see the person in front of us, not just their ability or inability to speak our language. Jesus always saw the woman at the well, the Roman citizen, the tax collector. Many of these people lived on the fringes of society, misunderstood or ignored. But Jesus crossed those social language barriers with love, dignity, and compassion. Walmart taught me that ministry isn't always on a stage, it's in the break room. It's in helping someone who's scared to ask for help, and using a translation app with patience, and saying hello with a smile when words fail. Every time we choose empathy over efficiency, we reflect Christ. Every time we listen longer than is convenient, we become more like him. Grace doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it lingers in the quiet, in the soft accents of courage, and in the unnoticed acts of kindness that unfold between ours. These moments, small and sacred, taught me that God isn't waiting for perfection. He's present in our humanity. Selah. And then at the end of every chapter, I have questions and I title those questions before you check out. Of course, because it's my experience at Walmart. And the first question says, have you ever overlooked someone because they couldn't express themselves the way you expected? Question number 2, how can you slow down to see others through the eyes of Christ this week? That's chapter 19, Alice Accents and Grace. And my heart are for people who don't look like me, who don't talk like me, who don't sound like me, who don't dress like me, because I love that that's the body. That's what the body makes up. And I know what it feels like being the minority. I remember being in college and I went to a predominantly white institution, and no one prepared me for sitting in the classroom as the only Black kid. I didn't even think that would be something I would experience in college. And I remember being in one of my Christian studies classes, exegesis of the Pentateuch and exegesis of Romans. Those two classes, I was the only Black student in the classroom. And not because I was treated any differently, but I felt anxious walking into those spaces. And my heart felt very soft toward those who are minorities, because I get it. I get it. It's not that you, again, maybe you haven't been treated differently, if you will, but maybe it's uncomfortable. And I know what it's like being uncomfortable, but I can't imagine what it's like being in a space where you can't speak a language. It's one thing to be a different race in a setting, but not to even speak the language. That is a whole different challenge. And so I wrote a chapter around my experience of working with coworkers whose first language wasn't English, and some of them, they didn't know any English, and the beauty of how God intertwined us because we just patiently waited for each other to get the words across. And honestly, we always got to the point. We always made it happen. And so, you guys, my book releases in a couple days. If you're listening to this on the release date, it'll be here in your hands if you have pre ordered either Friday the 13th or a couple days after. And when you get your book, like I said, if you will write a review after you read it and also post it online and tag me on my Instagram page, Ashley D. Minor, and my Come Like a Child page. It's called Come Like a Child. And I want to repost, I want to share, I want to get this book out into the world because I do think it is very helpful for anyone in a season of waiting, anyone who feels um, confused by God's timing, anyone who is in between the prayer and the promise. Okay. And so I just want to help you learn to rest in solitude and silence, to see the beauty where God has you, even though you don't want to be there. I say this all the time. Walmart was not the job I wanted, but it was the job I needed. And so maybe where you are right now is not where you want to be, but it's where you need to be in order to get where you want to be. And so, my friends, I'm so excited that my book is releasing into the world in a couple days. And I want to thank you. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing and reposting. And if this episode spoke to you, do me a huge favor. Send it to a friend, like and subscribe to my podcast, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys back here on Tuesday. Love y'all. Bye.